Hey everybody, it's Jameson, and Halloween is right around the corner. I think it feels like it anyway. And as a crafter, artist, hobbyist, whatever you want to say, you got to get started early. And so the ideas are already flooded in, and I want to get started. So the first thing, I'm going to make a kind of an interesting project or something new for me. But first thing I need to do is some freeze and fuse. So I was trolling Facebook Marketplace and found an artist who makes her own molds. And she had this fun bone mold, and so I bought a few of them, a few being 4, because I thought that they would look really cool and make some cool freeze and fuse. So I'll post a link as well, but it came with this little info card. So again, you can find her on Facebook, but here's her website, claybysenia.com. Food grade silicone molds for fondant, chocolate, butter, candy, and more. And great for resin, clay, soap, wax, hot glue, and more. That's cute. I'm gonna use it for glass. So anyway, I know that you can make your own molds. I have no interest in learning how to do that. I'm happy to support another small business, and so I bought 4 of these. So you can find her website and go check her out. She hand makes these, and so it may take a little bit. So another good reason to start early. So I am going to get these into the freezer. My approach will be to dust them very carefully with just a little bit of woodland brown to give some texture and dimension, particularly on the ends here. And then I'm going to fill them up with French vanilla. And so I'm going to get started with those first, and then come back and we'll start the next part of the project. All right, I got those filled up, and now I'm going to put them on my little tray and take them to the freezer. If you haven't seen my video on freeze and fuse, I've done another one. I'm continuing to learn. There's probably better ways to do this. I know a lot of you prefer to try to put slurry in. I may try that the next time. You probably also saw me using my tool and said, is that what I think it is? And the answer is yes. It's a teeth rattler. But also on my previous video and in my Amazon store. All right, I gotta work fast because these are frozen. I'm trying to hold on to this metal pan to cool my fingers off a little bit, but let's see how I did. Oh, I just broke a bone. You can see that. These little guys are super fragile. Unmolding these things makes me so nervous, and I got to be quick about it. This little guy's broken, I think. Yeah, there he is. That's okay. Bone fragments are fun. All right, so there it is. There's a couple of bubbles. This might be one that lends itself to slurries a little bit better. I don't know. Let's see. Broke the little guy again. And broke the middle guy. Well, shoot, they're so thin. I'm also not sure if I fully let them freeze as long as I should have. I feel like I just broke another one. I gotta figure out a better way to unmold these guys. Practice, practice, practice. Yeah, it's the little ones that continue to break on me. It's so thin in the middle, and I know I'm kind of popping it here, which is not good. Let's see if I'm a little more careful and don't lever it. Nope, see, it broke. Well, shoot. But the big ones are cool. Again, too many bubbles. So I've read lots of comments from folks, which I asked. I said, I'm learning, and so tell me what you know. So some people say maybe start with a slurry if you want, and then top it off with dry and do it the way I've been doing it. The bubbles don't bother me too much on bones because I think it's kind of cool, but again, these might lend themselves really well to slurry, so I'll try that the next time, but there you go. Okay, so those first bones were not great, so now I am going to try the slurry method just to see how those turn out and if they're any different. So what that is going to mean for me, I'm still going to brush some of this woodland brown into the nooks and crannies of these bones. Then I'm going to take a little bit of French vanilla powder. I'm going to put it in a cup, mix it with some distilled water until it makes a slurry, and then I'm going to pour that into my molds. I'm still going to have to vibrate. I'm still going to have to use the toilet paper to kind of get any residual water out, but that might help with some additional moisture kind of throughout and bubble elimination, which then may make them a little bit easier to pop out. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that now. I'll put you on time lapse because you don't need to see the very, very details of it, and we'll see what they look like when they come out of the freezer. Okay, so I am out of the kiln now. I had some mixed results. So a couple of the pieces, so I couldn't fire them when I popped them out, so I put them back in the freezer in a little Ziploc bag, and a couple of the pieces actually stuck to each other. And I thought, well, that's okay, because I'm kind of going to create a bone yard anyway, like a pile of bones, and so I was fine with that. So a few of these are fused together, but that's okay. They fused fine. They're just thin. They're just fragile. I had to take a Dremel. I took a Dremel tool to clean them up a little bit because, there's kind of some mess around the margins of them. So I took a little Dremel tool, wore my mask, and cleaned those off just a little bit to get nice defined bone shapes better. Got a bunch of little bone fragments here that in the end I'm not going to use, so that's kind of a waste. Most of these are that tiny bone. So in that three bone mold, the bigger bone and the middle bone turned out a lot better. That small one broke every time. So anyway, but I got plenty of what I'm going to use here for my project, so I'll show you that in a bit. Okay, at the start of the Freeze and Fuse segment there, I mentioned that I had some projects or a project that I wanted to do, and I'm inspired partially by this Halloween mix that I have from Tabitha at Tabitha's Glass Emporium. So I've sorted my mix here, but there are some body parts, eyes and lips, and some little eyes. I put these on a light table. You're still not seeing them as good as I can see them. There's a cool little Day of the Dead skull here. There's a owl, some pumpkins, ghosts. These are bat wings, spiders over here, spider webs, some bones and some other skulls. And then these are just kind of monochromatic or darker flowers. I also have, so much other stuff. I have this kind of Halloween mix that I got from Lori Moreno at Wilderness Glass last year. You can see the pumpkin, the skull, the candy corn. This ghost here, like this little ghost guy is glow in the dark, so that's fun. I also have some different dots that I got from SS Glass Art Studio, and so these are fun. I thought these might be eyes, good eyeballs. I have some other things to use for eyes. I also have, these were some scrap cane from Lori at Wilderness Glass. I thought chopped up those could make some interesting kind of monster eyes. I have a water jet cut from SS Art Glass Studio, which is really cool, and I have these amazing fall leaves from Lori at Wilderness Glass. So I am going to start in on a project here that is going to be pretty epic. So I'm going to first cut my glass, so stay tuned, and I'll start to assemble in just a bit. Okay, so even though it's August and it's 104.6 degrees, something like that today in Dallas, I'm thinking about Halloween, and so I mentioned I'm working on the project for Halloween. I've got some of this amazing Murini and cane and other things. And so I have an idea for a project. So I found some scrap glass that I have. And what I think I'm going to do, although I didn't calculate this one right, so I got a little corner missing, but whatever. I'm going to make 4 panels that are kind of Halloween or fall themed with these 4 different pieces of glass. I don't know if this is going to work for people. I'm just playing. And then I'm going to basically use clear silicone to glue them all together after I've fired them into a 4-piece, 4-panel, kind of like a candle shelter. So my themes are going to vary panel by panel. And the first one I'm going to work on is this kind of boneyard concept. So I'm going to use these bones that I already have. I'm going to use these bones that came from Tabitha, and maybe another element or two. The skulls will be on here as well. And I'm just going to kind of decorate it and play with it. And this is going to be my bone themed piece. So I'll put this on fast forward and you can watch me kind of build that and create it as I go using elements, which are these awesome bone fragment Murini things from Tabitha and the bones that I made here. And who knows, maybe I'll find something else in my shop here. So I'm just gonna get to work. Okay, I realized that my camera died, or my phone died, while I was filming that. So sorry you didn't get the full effect there. But what we've got here now is what I think is done. I've angled the camera because there's a terrible glare coming down. I don't know. I think this is fun. It might not be everybody's style, but what I've done is kind of created the bone frame around here. I played and tried to come up with something that I liked, and so this is it. So bones around the frame. I made a little monochromatic flower garden down here. I used some of the dark black flowers that came as well from Tabitha. Mostly, I don't think that they're going to show up on this dark background, but if it's backlit, you might see them. So I've added them in here and made a little, bone flower garden because the colors were the same. I don't know, that's the way my brain thinks. And then these elements in the middle were also from Tabitha. These 4 skulls on the outside were from Lori Moreno. And then, of course, there's the freeze and fuse that I did. So now this is all just loosely placed on here. I'm going to double check the arrangement, make sure I like it where it is. Then I'm going to use just a little bit of hairspray and kind of tack it all down and let it dry, because otherwise this will move all over the place. So I'm going to do that and then eventually move it over to the kiln, and I'm going to get started on my second panel. Okay, so for this next one, I had some wispy glass that was clear with gray and white, kind of wispy. Here, let me move this streaks in it. Can you kind of see that? I'm not sure if you can or not, doesn't matter. Wispy glass, which I thought kind of looked spider webby. And then I had some stringers that I had full fused together at one point and then didn't do anything with them. So now I've cut that strip up and I have it fitting on here again to kind of mimic more of a spider web. And now I'm going to use the amazing spiders that came from Tabitha. So this one actually looks like an actual web. So that one I'm going to kind of put up in the corner here. I've got another one that looks like a web, and so I'm going to use it as well. I'll put it probably down here in the corner just for some visual interest. And then I've got 2 amazing spiders from Tabitha, so I'm going to put one maybe in the corner here, and this other little guy maybe down here. And then you kind of got to have bugs for the spiders, right? So I've got, sorry little guy, but I've got this little caterpillar that I had also gotten from Tabitha in a previous shipment. So I thought that would be fun. And then I'm getting kind of creative now. This is actually from the marine life that Tabitha has. It's a devil ray or manta ray. And I thought it could look like a fly of some sort if I add some dichro wings, kind of almost dragonfly style. So I had just a tiny scrap of dichro that I was able to cut up, and as so. And I feel like if I put this guy on top, let's see, how do I want to position him? Probably like this. That could look like a fly, maybe like a dragonfly. I don't know. Just trying here. I have some ladybugs, but that came from Lori Moreno, but as I've shared before, I love my ladybugs as a good luck charm in my floral pieces, so I feel super guilty adding a ladybug to this. That's the only other bug that I really have in my studio here. I guess I could try to make something, but anyway, I'm gonna go with this. So that will be, I'm gonna glue these guys down, and then that will be my spider panel. All right, next up is going to be a spooky eyes panel. So this piece of glass is, I think it was a limited edition or special edition bullseye. I don't remember the number, but it's spring green with a venturing green streaky in it. I don't think this is regular stock, but I've had this for a while, and so I cut a little piece of that for the next panel, which is going to be eyes, like spooky eyes, creepy eyes, kind of all over the whole thing. So I'm going to use a lot of the eyes that came from Tabitha. I also have lots of little elements that I think look like eyes, and so I'm going to just fill this thing with eyes peeking at you from this green background. So for this, I'll also turn it on the little fast mode, little time lapse, because I'm going to build and redesign and change my mind a whole bunch of times, I'm sure. Okay, so here's this piece. I'm going off the pedestal here so I can just show you. So I've got the eyes all over. These are just from all sorts of different things. So these were from Tabitha. A couple of these dots, these green and red ones, were from SS Glass Art. This was some cane that I full fused that I think looks like little boobies, if I'm honest. These were a couple of pieces of scrap dichro that I had, so I just put those on there with a little bit of aventurine on top. I had lots of this cane from Lori Moreno. This was her scrap cane, so I cut those. I think those kind of look like alien eyes, so I cut those. Got these little guys from Tabitha. I put a couple of Tabitha's red flowers on there because I think they kind of look like eyeballs with irises. And then these eyes on the top with some hairy eyebrows. So Tabitha, I love you. I really do. And those are supposed to be bat wings. They're in the Halloween mix. And I grabbed a little blob to show you how they could resemble bat wings. I think they're great. I also think they kind of look like really hairy eyebrows. So that's what I'm going to use mine for. I might flip those around. But there you go. So this is the eyes panel. I'm going to get these all glued up, and that's going to go into the kiln. Okay, and for this last one, I have some clear glass with gold irid on it, and I think that that's really cool and can have a little fall Halloween look to it. And so I have a piece of vitrograph that somebody gifted to me. I wish I could pull my own, but alas, I am not that talented. So anyway, I've got this that I'm going to put along the bottom here. I've got this amazing tree cutout from SS Glass on Etsy, and so I love that tree silhouette. And then I've got, you know, things like the owl, the hootie owl from Tabitha, and so I'll figure out kind of where to place him in all of this. Maybe right there. I don't know. Maybe right there. I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna play. I've got pumpkins from Tabitha. I've got smaller pumpkins from Lori Moreno. I've got the ghosts from Tabitha, so I think those would be fun in here. I've also got the glow-in-the-dark ghosts from Lori Moreno, so I might cut a couple of those up. I'll probably put that bat that I showed you earlier on here, so I'm just gonna have fun and fill this up with kind of all sorts of randomness. So let's watch how that comes together. Okay, I don't know, this one might be my favorite one. So you saw me add all these different elements. I put that bat on there. I put a couple of the glow-in-the-dark ghosts from Lori. I put the 2 ghosts that I have from Tabitha. Lori makes these beautiful leaves, fall leaves, and so I peppered those all over. The pumpkins are a mix between Tabitha's and Lori's. And then the glass underground has these amber stars with irid on them. Can you see that? So I put them irid side up and scattered those across the back too, because I thought they fit in well. These are tiny guys, little 1/2-inch guys from the glass underground. So as I put this together, it occurs to me, well, first of all, and you also saw me using hairspray, one of my favorite little nondescript glues there to kind of keep everything on there. It burns off nice and clean. It's just cheap dollar store hairspray in a needle tip bottle. So you know, I use multiple vendors, as we all do, and so I don't make these videos for them. I make them for me and for you, and so some people might watch this and think, gosh, he's using like 2 competitors' products in the same, or 3 or 4 actually, you know, water jet cuts from 2 different companies, Murinian pieces from 2 different people. Look, again, I make these for me, not for them. I make them for you, not for them. I love featuring them because they're all great people. Honestly, I've gotten to know them, and they're great people. And so I love, you know, sharing. But I think the fusing world is big enough for all of us to cooperate and live harmoniously. Let's not steal ideas from each other and, you know, bold copy each other. But you know, I use multiple suppliers, as I know you do as well. So, okay, I'm going to put these in the kiln. I'm going to take this to a contour-ish kind of tack fuse. I think I'm going to go back and check, but I think my schedule is usually around 1350 on these. So let's see what they look like when they come out. Okay, so they're out of the kiln. I took these up to 1350 for 10 minutes, which is a very light, in my kiln, it's a very light tack fuse, but it's enough to kind of round off all the elements. So let me just start showing these to you. First one here is the spidery web one. So with these large Murini, like the spiders and these webs, Tabitha's team cuts them with a tile saw. And so now they polished up super nice. You can see right through that. You can see the detail of that. You can see that spider going after my little bug here. This spider looks really awesome. I love the red dots. I'm not in love with my like faked bug here, so that's disappointing, but yeah, whatever. So so anyway, very, very light fuse, but at 1350 it's just enough to take all the hardness off the edges and give them, you know, enough that I'm not going to cut myself, but leaves a ton of texture. Fire polishes everything, but lots and lots of texture, as you can see. So that's the spider piece. Next is the bones piece. So I'm really pleased with this. I think it turned out really cool. The skeleton, or the skulls, look awesome across the board, both Lori's and Tabitha's. The bones, I'm thrilled with this freeze infused bone. That French vanilla with, in this case, this was woodland brown. But I was thinking about it, you could even do something like dense white, which is going to cause a reaction. That could look kind of cool on those bones too, if you've got white powder, dense white powder. So anyway, real pleased with how that turned out. So again, super light tack, fuse, fire polish, tons of texture. And you don't lose then the definition and the look of all of this intricate Murini, but you get a nice rounding off and a fire polish, and so real pleased with that. Now it's probably a two-way tie for my favorite on the next two. I'll do this one happens to be closer to me. This kind of fall outdoor scene. Gosh, I love this thing. That tree you know, which was the water jet cut, just rounded off ever so slightly and shined up beautifully. You've got that gorgeous gold irid, and then nice polish on things like the ghost and the owl here, little rounding off of all of those Murini. The pumpkins are awesome. The ghosts, these guys glow in the dark. The bat turned out cool. I'm just super happy, super happy with this one. I think it's so cool. And then the eyes, how awesome is that? So I just love every one of them, every pair. The only downside is I had some jump or one jump. So of all of this work that I did, all the Murini, nothing jumped except this eye, which probably really mattered in the grand scheme of things, but that's okay. It is what it is. It's just a really weird looking pair there, but that's the only one that jumped. Everything else stayed in place. So really cool, pleased with that. The green eyes look cool. The eyes with the eyebrows look menacing there, but check out the detail that's on those irises. I mean, there's a touch of clear in there, so you can see the green that kind of comes through, and the blue. It's just so cool. So anyway, now the next step is I am going to glue these together. So cold fusing, as we say. So let me take that over and show you what that's going to look like. Okay, so what I've done is I've got a box here that I've set up as my jig, and I've got little flower pots holding up the edges on either side, and I've got two of my panels butted up against each other here, and I'm just confirming that I'm at a good right angle with my square there. And so I'm going to pull this out, and then I have Gorilla Glue maximum strength clear construction adhesive. I like this stuff, and so I'm going to, I've got my tip on there, and I'm going to run a bead of glue right down the middle of that, and then, sorry, I don't know if my camera's on the right spot, run my glue down there, and then I'm going to let it sit. This stuff takes, it says, let's see here, within 10 minutes, press surfaces together for 30 to 60 seconds, and then it's repositionable for 30 minutes, and the cure time is 24 hours minimum. So if I'm going to do this 4 different times, it's going to take me a while, and obviously I'm going to have to prop the glass up differently with panels 3 and 4, but this is how I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'll just show you this when it's finished. Okay, and here you go. This is the finished piece. So I just glued these pieces together using that construction adhesive. It actually has just a little bit of flex, a little bit of give, and I like that. Sorry, this video is a little dark. I only had a single candle that I could put in there, and then I had this little turntable that I thought would be fun to show you. I've got some photos coming up, though, where you can see it a little bit brighter. I'm not in love with this spider piece and this weird bug that I made, but it's still cool. The spiders are amazing. I'm really happy with the freeze and fuse on here. The other elements are cool on that skull piece. This one might be my favorite panel. I love it, or kind of a two-way tie with these eyes. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. Get out there and make something yourself. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.